Back from our trip a little over a week ago now, and I feel like I've been playing catch up in my house ever since, and things still look just atrocious. I kind of feel like I'm suffocating in my own home, so today we're going to be throwing out. And in the spirit of not falling back into old habits, I do have a project I want to do today. You guys probably remember a couple months ago I went through all of my kids' clothing dating back a full 7.5 years. I got rid of a ton of it and I organized everything, but today I actually need to switch out my youngest wardrobe for the coming season, and he's going to be in a different size this year. So I brought up a couple of the bins that I already went through, and we're gonna do a triple quadruple check on them to make sure that I'm only keeping the things that we absolutely love and are sentimental to me in some way. Going forward with storing kids clothing, I only want to keep what fits specifically in the bin. So if something doesn't fit in there, then I cannot keep it and I have to donate it. And that's just one of the ways that I'm preventing myself from falling back into old habits. As soon as we got home, I felt like I was suffocating in our house. So I started going through our kitchen cabinets. I already filmed that. This is a totally different day, but I'm going to insert all that footage first so you can see that declutter. I went through multiple kitchen cabinets. I also went through our little art cabinet, and then I had my husband go through some of his shoes. And then after we finish that, we'll pick up on this project that I need to do in my youngest room. Another thing that we've really been struggling with lately is toys. My youngest has started to go into our basement and bring things upstairs from downstairs. So the upstairs toys and the downstairs toys have been really mixed together, and there are toys just all over my house, and it's become really difficult to pick up at the end of the night. So it's time to do another overhaul of the toys today. So we have a lot to get done. Like I said, as soon as we got home from vacation, I just started to feel like I was suffocating in our home. I felt like the cabinets were getting stuffed full of random things, and things I'd saved with good intentions needed to go. I was especially bothered by my kitchen cabinets, so that is where I wanted to start first. I'm just showing you a little overview here of the spaces that needed the most help in the kitchen. So first off, my kids' cabinet. This is where we keep their plates and bowls and cups. My toddler has been loving the Good to Grow juices, and we've started to have quite a collection of them. It's one thing to just have the lids to interchange with like all the different characters, but we just did not need all of the cups. I can wash and use 2 cups. I feel like that's more than enough, and then we can just keep any of the lids that aren't doubles. So just going through these Good to Grow juices alone made a big difference in this cabinet. Our corner cabinets, I have a very hard time with. They're kind of awkward, and they end up stuffed with random things that then get lost and we forget we even have them. On the top shelf, I was keeping extra birthday party related things. When my son turned 7 over the summer, I bought some things off Amazon for goodie bags for the kids who attended. And then I kept the extras thinking maybe I can use them again next year, but honestly, goodie bags are so off-brand for me. I've never liked assembling them, and I don't like the idea of sending families home with bags of junk that'll clutter up their homes. I would love to know if any of you have ideas for a favor for birthday parties that does not include a bag of random junk. I know it's fun for the kids, but is it really worth it? I don't know. Again, I'd love to hear what you do in lieu of goodie bags in the comments. All that being said, I decluttered all the goodie bag stuff. Another thing that we had in that cabinet was baby proofing supplies. These things tend to come in a pack with many, and we only ever end up needing a few of each thing. I figured I'd keep them in there in case I need them down the road, but I think it's time to just let them go and hope they find somebody in need after I donate them. I've had these baskets of kitchen tools for a long time now, and while it doesn't look the most organized, I know where everything is, and this system has worked well for us. But like everything else in these cabinets, I want to make sure that there isn't anything in them that we aren't using. Another thing that we keep in this cabinet is stainless steel cups. We used to have a much larger collection, but I've decluttered so much over time because we rarely use them. I saw someone recently on Instagram who has a whole wall full of Stanley cups organized by color, which if that's your thing, that's totally fine. But coming from someone who would never ever use all of those enough to justify it, I was in a little bit of shock. I cannot imagine how much that wall of Stanleys must have cost them. While we were on the topic of getting rid of things, I wanted to share the ultimate hack for those of us who are minimalists or on a decluttering journey but still enjoy trying new things and treating ourselves, specifically perfumes. Perfumes are hard because the bottles can be huge, it can be very expensive, and also sometimes you go shopping for a perfume and it smells one way in the store and then you get home and you actually wear it and it smells completely different. But the greatest compliment to me is when someone tells me that I smell good. So I feel like I'm always on a quest for like my signature scent, but on a budget and in a way that does not fill my home with unnecessary clutter. And that is where these come in, these perfect little deluxe size samples. These 4 just came in, so they're my newest rotation and I'm very excited about it. First of all, let's just take a minute to appreciate these beautiful colors on the packaging. So the 4 new ones I have are Dime Malibu Night, then I've got Rebecca Minkoff. I'm gonna absolutely butcher this name, so I'm just gonna show you guys, but I got this one as well. And I also have a Juliet fragrance. Juliet Has a Gun. So the Dime perfume is kind of like one of my comfort scents. I love beachy scents, and this one I think was described as like a pleasant evening beach stroll, which is right up my alley, so that's why I picked that one out. It has notes of coconut musk, raspberry, pear, green leaves, and sandalwood. So that, again, right up my alley, my type of fragrance. But I wanted to try some things this time that were different for me. So the Juliet fragrance has notes of like dark cherry in it, which is way out of my comfort zone. So I'm excited to smell that one and see if I like it. It also has pinkberry, jasmine absolute. I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce this right, but it also has cashmerean and ambroxan. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert on this type of thing. And then the Rebecca Minkoff one has bergamot, tobacco, jasmine absolute, Karmaflor, and patchouli essence. I usually steer clear of scents that have notes like this just because I feel like they don't sound good, but just because they don't sound good doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. So I'm excited to try this one too. The last one has lemon, petitgrain, honeysuckle, jasmine, and narcissus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of this correctly. That is the fun part about Scentbird. You get to try so many different fragrances. So you can pick your comfort fragrances, but then you can also pick something new to try, and you just never know what you're going to like until it arrives at your door and you get a chance to smell it and also to wear it, because again, sometimes the scents can smell completely different in the bottle than they actually do when they wear on your skin. So I do have a discount code for Scentbird, which I'll share in a minute, but they are affordable anyway. I think it's like $16.95 a month. You get to try deluxe sample sizes. These are really big vials. I'll open one up so you can see. If you were to buy a rollerball or a travel size in store, it's definitely more expensive than these vials are, and you get a lot of product in here. Scentbird has something like over 700 different fragrances, and you get to choose a new one every single month. So again, for those of you who are minimalist but you still enjoy trying new things, this is the perfect way to do that. These are also the perfect size for on the go, so you can throw these in your work bag, your diaper bag, your gym bag, whatever. You can keep it in your car and you always have a perfume on you. Again, the best compliment I can receive is someone telling me that I smell good, so I always like to have something on hand. So as for my discount for you guys, I have a good one. So you can use the code Elaine55, or you can scan the QR that's on the screen, and that will get you 55% off your first month with Scentbird. I think that works out to about $8 for your first fragrance, so make sure you take advantage. That is a really good deal. Again, that code is Elaine55, and that will get you 55% off your first month with Scentbird. These are so fun, truly a minimalist dream, so make sure you take advantage of that offer. And I want to say a big thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Back into the cabinets we go. This one really didn't have that much that I needed to declutter. Most of the problem I have with this cabinet is the very top shelf where I store some art supplies. You'll see later on in the video we have more art supplies in a different cabinet, but the ones in this one are the ones I specifically do not want my kids to be able to get into without my supervision. So we've got kinetic sand and paints and Play-Doh up here. I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything I could get rid of from in here, and also just reorganize the art supplies so they fit a little bit better on this shelf and they're easier for me to get to when I need them. And finally, the dreaded Lazy Susan cabinet. Again, my corner cabinets are hard, and yes, I could probably organize it better and grab organizers specifically meant for a space like this, but honestly, the items that we store in here change so frequently that I feel like it may not make sense for me to do that. For now, I just do the best I can, and I try to stay on top of making sure clutter doesn't collect in here too badly. In this cabinet, we store things like extra pantry storage containers, meal prep containers, and a few little seasonal decor items. For example, we only have a few small Valentine's Day decorations, so instead of dedicating a whole bin to them and encouraging myself to collect more Valentine's Day decor, I just keep the few things in this cabinet and grab them when that holiday comes around. I also keep our blender in here and any of our serveware for when we host at our house. I got rid of most of our glass food storage containers. I honestly just was not a fan of the ones that we had. I don't like that they're not dishwasher safe, so it kind of discourages me from using them because I find it so annoying to have to hand wash the lids. And yes, the glass itself is dishwasher safe. It's specifically the lids that bother me, and I feel like there has got to be glass food storage containers I can find somewhere that are fully dishwasher safe. That being said, I did keep a few of our glass food storage containers because I obviously will need them at some point, and until I find a replacement, I couldn't get rid of all of them.
Simple, simple, simple minds. I guess we'll take it one by one, baby, one by one. Just different, different, different kinds. We'll try to take it one by one.
Here is a little overview of all the cabinets after I did this declutter, and then I'll also give you a look at all of the things that I donated from these spaces.
My baby, I do. I miss you too many nights. I miss your colorful lights. I think I love you too much.
So like I said, the majority of the things that we did get rid of from this cabinet were birthday party supplies, but I also did have a couple of little pantry storage containers, one stainless steel cup, some glasses that we really don't use. I had good intentions by saving all of these supplies for goodie bags, but I just realistically don't see myself using them, and I really don't want them to be taking up space in my kitchen for the next 9 months or however long until my son's next birthday, so it was just time to let them go. I also found a baby bottle stuffed in the back of the cabinet that I did not know was still there. We have not been using bottles for a very long time now, so I was surprised to find that and also a little bit sad. I also recently purchased a bulk pack of hand sanitizers for our trip to Disney, and I just could never need that many hand sanitizers, so I went ahead and donated some of those too. The next area that needed to be tackled today was our entryway closet. I think that everybody who's followed me for a while knows about my husband and his shoes. I asked him to please try to declutter at least 5 pairs out of the closet, so that's what you're seeing here. And then once he was done with his part, I went through and I asked my oldest son about which shoes he was ready to part with, and I just decluttered anything that no longer fit my kids. This is a space you guys have seen me declutter and reorganize multiple times, usually once every single season, and we live in a small home, so that's just the way that it is. We can't store all of our stuff that we need for any given season in this closet at all times, so I have to stay on top of going through it every single season and just refreshing it.
I should slow it down, take it easy. I just keep on staring at my phone. Yeah, my head's spinning, heart's racing, knowing that you could give me a call. I lay awake at night because all I seem to think about is you. I don't know what to do. Do I want this too much? I know I have burned you once before. You can chew me up and spit me out if you don't want to see me anymore.
And these are all the shoes that we decluttered from that closet. Now, this is one thing I always need to declutter: paper clutter. So this is your sign. If you've got a pile of paper laying around with different bills and things, go through it. I made a point to stand here and go through the papers and pay whatever bills I found laying in here as I found them. Also, the last time I mentioned paying bills I get in the mail, I had a bunch of you saying to go paperless, and I wanted to mention that we are paperless on whatever we can be, but healthcare in America is wild, and anytime we go to the doctors, we end up with bills from random departments. It's actually so annoying, but it is what it is.
Sitting next to you, go ahead and break my heart if you want to, but stay for a while if that's okay with you. Am I a crazy person, maniac? 'Cause I just wanna jump right in with you. And I don't care about
The next area that I wanted to work on is our art cabinet. I have not gone through this in a little bit, and there wasn't too much to declutter, but I like to make sure I stay on top of going through it and keeping it relatively organized so it's easy for us to grab whatever is needed as it's needed. I decided to get rid of all the markers we had in here since most of them were opened and dried out, and they were all probably old too. So I dumped them all in the trash and I grabbed a new pack of markers later in the week. Also, this is what it's like trying to do anything around my toddler. He just has to be involved. He needs to take things out as I'm putting them away and just be all up in my business. Aside from the markers, crayons, and colored pencils, we also keep coloring books in here, construction paper, and just little art supplies like glue sticks and pom-poms and popsicle sticks and things like that. Plus, I store my oldest son's milestone box, and that's just so it's easily accessible when he comes home from school, and I want to save some of the more special work he brings home. We're moving to a different day now. I had a big project I wanted to do, so the first thing that I'm doing here is just clearing off our kitchen island so I can get to work. It's that time of year where our wardrobes need to be swapped for the fall season. Now that my oldest is 7, he doesn't grow out of things quite as quickly, and his clothes don't need to be gone through as frequently as my toddler. Plus, I don't end up keeping a lot of my older son's clothes since they tend to get pretty damaged and roughed up. My toddler's clothing is more complicated, so we're focusing on his things today. The first thing I did was dump all of the clean laundry onto the dining room table so I could sort it and fold it. While I was doing this, I made sure to set aside anything that no longer fit him into a separate area so that I could donate those items at the end. I have done so many videos on the decluttering process when it comes to my kids' clothing. So if you are someone who really struggles with holding sentimental value in items, especially with kids' clothing, I know that's a really common thing. I would encourage you to go back and watch some of my other videos where I'm decluttering their wardrobes because I really go a lot deeper into that, and I have kind of discovered some things over the years that have made the process easier for me, so hopefully it will help you as well. Once I was done sorting through that initial pile, I went into his room and I grabbed everything from inside of his drawers and threw them into a laundry basket so I could do the exact same thing, dump them on the kitchen island to sort and fold and weed out anything that no longer fits him. And while I was in here, I did go through the stuff that was hanging up. I didn't take all of this down since some of it will be staying in his room, but I did go through this and just check the sizes and see if I wanted to keep things or donate them or whatever. I am determined to never end up in a situation where our kids' clothing becomes out of hand again. You all may remember my initial declutter of clothing from sizes newborn to 5T, and it was a wild time. We just had so much. It took me an entire day to go through it all, and I filled up, I think, 5 trash bags full of clothing to donate. I then organized each size into separate bins, and I bought small bins and told myself I could not keep anything that did not fit into the bin for that specific size. We're undecided if we will ever have any more kids, so in the event that we do have one more down the road, we're all set for another boy. Everything is organized and clean. But if we don't, we're all set to donate all of it too. This new system has just worked really well for us. I remember once I posted a declutter video and I was kind of doing a similar thing, like going through my kids' clothes and swapping them out for the next season. And I remember getting a comment from someone saying, like, I don't care about you and your kids' clothing and your narration about why you kept something or why you didn't, or something like that, something along those lines. And to this day, it's still like in my brain every single time I film one of these videos. Like, do people even care about this? Is this motivational? And are you guys enjoying this? So if you do enjoy this and just hearing, I guess, like my thought process as I declutter items, then I would love to know in the comments. Leave me some encouragement down below. Sutton's size over the summer was 2T, and now going into the fall, he's honestly kind of somewhere in between. 2T fits, but it can be tight depending on what it is, but 3T fits too, or it's too big depending on what it is. So I had to use my judgment when it came to what I kept out that's 2T and what I put away, and same for what I unpacked from the 3T bin. But all that being said, the 2T bin was full, so I knew I had to do another declutter from this bin if I wanted to keep any of his clothing from over the summer. I try to only keep the things that are in the best shape or that are special to me in some way, and the rest gets donated. I know it seems like I have been decluttering nonstop since January, and that's because I have been. It's crazy how much stuff you can accumulate without even realizing that it's happening. I've also noticed as I've gone through this process that my standards for what I want to keep continue to change. The first time I go through a cabinet, I might part with a bunch of things and think I'm done, but then weeks or months later, I realize I don't actually need everything that I've kept. It's truly kind of an addicting mindset to be in. I love the feeling of getting things out of my home. I love the relief I feel of open spaces in cabinets and in drawers. And I can honestly say that I haven't missed a single thing I've decluttered this year. So if you're on the fence of doing a big declutter of your home, this is your sign to do it. I just have never felt more peace in my home than I have since I've started going through this process. And you don't have to do it alone. So if you need a friend to declutter alongside of you, I have been posting videos all year long, going through every single space in my home, showing you guys all the nitty gritty. So be sure to go back and watch some of my older videos if you're looking for inspiration or motivation or just a friend to declutter alongside of you. I thought I was done going through clothes, and then I opened up a drawer in his closet and found all of this stuff I completely forgot I had put in there. So I needed to go through all of this as well, and I was so annoyed with myself at this point. Here I'm just showing you everything that I'm going to declutter from Sutton's wardrobe in his current size. And again, all of this was donated. I was able to fill a trash bag all the way up with clothing to donate, which always feels good. We had bought this inflatable race car bed for a trip that we were going on, and I was hoping that Sutton would sleep well in it, but turns out that he absolutely hated it and it was like an epic fail. And instead of holding on to this for future use, I just decided to go ahead and donate it. We don't need this laying around our house. And here's an overview of all of Sutton's drawers, all organized and ready to go for the upcoming season, all decluttered. It always feels good to get a big project like this done. Moving on, I had one more big declutter project that I wanted to work on today, and that was the toys. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this area just really needed an overhaul, and the way that I know it needs an overhaul is when it starts taking me too long to tidy up at the end of the day. My rule of thumb in general is I don't want it to take me more than 5 to 10 minutes to clean up a space. If it takes me longer than that, then I know that something is up and there's too much stuff. So the first thing that I did to start this declutter project was just kind of organize everything into categories on the floor. So you can see I have all the construction trucks together, I'm trying to get all the Paw Patrols together. We have a bunch of dino trucks that we've had forever that I needed to keep together, and just get everything into groups so that it's easy for me to see what we have. And before you start to wonder, why is this girl always decluttering toys? Why is she buying her kids so many toys? I just want to say that I have had most of the toys that you see in this clip here forever. Like that blue dump truck and the crane trucks and the construction trucks. We got all those when my oldest son was, I think, 1.5 maybe. And then the Paw Patrols we collected many, many years ago. We have not bought anything new in so long. My youngest is very lucky and he has so many toys that are hand-me-downs from his older brother, so he's set for life. Honestly, he never needs us to buy him new toys. We have additional storage for toys, and I try to use this as kind of like my toy rotation system, and that's underneath our fireplace, as you can see here. So I'm just going through and trying to reorganize this space. We had a bunch of board games that were like opened up and tipped over and pieces had fallen out, so I wanted to take all of those out and make sure that they were organized and then put back properly. I know that board games are one of those things that people will kind of take apart and like put into a Ziploc bag or get some of those like zipper little mesh bags to store them in. If you have done something like that, or if you have a good organization system that you recommend for board games, I would love for you to leave it in the comments. I took out quite a few things from under this fireplace to donate that my kids just were not playing with, and I wanted to make sure that I had space for some of the things that Sutton has been constantly bringing up from the basement, because clearly if he keeps bringing them up, then he's really into them and I need to stop trying to put them back down there. So I'm just going to store them under the fireplace so that they're easily accessible when he wants to grab them and we're not running up and down the basement stairs all the time. And then I'm going to go through each of the drawers in this little dresser. I refinished this dresser. I always get questions about it whenever I show it in my videos, but this was like an antique dresser passed down from family members for years and years, and I ended up with it and I refinished it and we absolutely love it. So I use this to store, again, toys in the living room. It just makes it easier for me to clean up, have somewhere to put everything away, and get them out of sight so that the space does not look so visually cluttered. We had about 1 trillion little Hot Wheels cars and metal Paw Patrol cars and cars from the Disney movie in this bin, in this drawer, in that dresser. How many times can I say in? So anyway, I needed to go through all of that. I wanted to get rid of things that my toddler was not interested in. He has very specific cars from this bin that he likes. So I made a pile of things to get rid of, and then the pile of things that I wanted to keep. Like I said before, all of these Paw Patrol toys were passed down from my oldest son to my toddler. And fun fact about my older son is that he is a collector through and through. He's been collecting his whole life, and it's funny because I'm the polar opposite. He definitely gets that from my husband. But he collected Paw Patrols when he was a toddler. He wanted to have every single different Paw Patrol vehicle they made. He wanted to have all the different figures that were available. And so we ended up with so many different Paw Patrols from so many different lines. And it's a little bit out of hand. So I decided to put all of them out in front of me. I organized like each character, all the Rebels together, all the Zumas together, all the chases, all the vehicles together for the different characters so that I could pick specific ones to keep. I ended up just keeping 2 of each of the characters, so I figured I'd have one as a backup and then one as the main character. And then for the vehicles as well, I didn't want to keep more than 2 options for any of them. I just feel like anything more than that is way too much for me. It ends up all over my living room and it becomes my problem at the end of the day. So time to nip this in the bud and get rid of some of those things that we don't need. Everything that you see me putting into this bag here is stuff that I'm going to donate. So I donated a whole bunch of cars and then also in a second grabbed all of the extra Paw Patrol figures to donate to. I grabbed any of the excess Paw Patrol figures and threw them into this little mesh bag that I could zip up, and I put that under the fireplace so that way if we're missing a figure, I can grab this and I can hand that to Sutton when he's playing, but we don't just have to keep them out all the time. Now we're just going to focus on doing some tidying up before we call it a day. This was a big day for me. That big project with my toddler's clothes and then the big project trying to sort and organize toys and declutter them in the living room. I was able to get rid of a ton of stuff. I brought a whole trunk full of things to the donation center, which you'll see just a couple minutes, which always feels really good. I always feel lighter after a trip to donate everything. But you'll see in a second here that my house, it's not going to look perfect. I've got toys everywhere. I've got little NFL helmets and green Post-it notes on my mantle that my oldest son put there, and I'm not going to take it down. That's his work. I'm not really sure what he's doing with it, but that's his. So anyway, this is what things are looking like right now. And yeah, we have a lot of toys in our living room, but we have 2 happy, healthy little kids, and that's the most important thing to me in the entire world. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I hope I'll see you again next week for another video. Don't forget to check out Scentbird and snag a fragrance for just $8 your first month, and thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today.